So it's the weekend and it's another movie review. So it's a little bit slow on the ground for movies as of late. So I managed to pick up this kind of small horror-ish movie called The Watched. It was meant to be called The Watcher or Watchers, but due to the Netflix series of the same name that was released the end of 2023, they've changed the name. So this is the directorial debut of Ishana Shyamalan. She is the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, so you know this. So this is her kind of first outing. This is based on a book by A.M. Shine. That person helped write it with Ishana. So it's good to see that obviously they're working together, and obviously the person who created the core foundation of this book has some input into the movie. So anybody who doesn't know, it's a little bit hard to tell, but it's essentially you have this main girl played by Dakota Fanning, Mira. She works in a pet shop and she has to take this pigeon through this massive forest in Ireland to get to this location. Unfortunately, when she gets to it, you realise that there is something weird going on and she can't really leave it, finds these other people, and then there's some weird kind of creatures that are in there that are watching the people within the forest if they manage to get inside this bunker. I'm not going to give too much away because the trailer doesn't give too much away, and I think that's a good thing. And yes, so there's nothing after the credits, there's nothing before the credits. You know, the credits start rolling, that's it. Good, get up, go along. There's nothing you have to worry about, so I would advise to do that. But I will put a spoiler warning up as I always do. So this is where I will go more in depth into the film and give you a little bit more insights and my feedback and stuff like this. So if you want to go see this movie, stop the video here and go see it, and then you can come back and rewatch it if you choose so. So as I said, so this movie is called The Watch. Obviously, it's a directorial debut. The movie essentially starts off, you have an additional character. So you have this character called Alistair. He is trying to get out of this forest. He is running and he keeps coming up to these weird bone-like markers on it. And kind of it says like marker 15, 27, whatever, and no point of return. He runs past this and then you can hear these noises, these kind of ravens or crows, a big swarm of them come round, and then you kind of heard these noises as it starts to get dark. He climbs a tree and obviously they're all kind of rotting out, falls down, hurts himself, and then something gets him and pulls him away. You don't know what this is, but this sets the premise up, obviously that there is this forest and something in it. I think it does give you a few statistics to say about this forest. Obviously it is this massive area and something like this. It's a very lovely looking pictures. It is a very picturesque place. But anyway, it then goes to Mira, who is Dakota Fanning's character. She works in a bird shop. You can tell she's kind of a lost soul, I would kind of say it is. You see her going out and disguise herself as someone else to kind of sleep with someone, you assume. But it's kind of, she puts on these masks to hide her feelings for some reason. You don't really know. You see her drawing. That's kind of all you have. She works in a pet store, and the boss of the pet store basically, we have this special parrot. He is wanted by this person somewhere. She is tasked to get in this car and do the journey because she's an employee. Just, okay, it seems normal. She's driving along, following his sat-nav, following his path until she gets to this forest. And then obviously hits this invisible barrier that's like an EMP and kills the car. What are you to do? Get out of the car, takes the bird, starts walking with her, gets to probably about 50, 100 yards in front of her and decides actually this is probably the wrong thing to do. I'll get in the car. Turns around, the car is now not there. No phone is working, no power sources. She is then stuck in this forest. She kind of wanders around with the bird, kind of sits down, doesn't really know what to do, and then she sees a kind of old character or an old lady in the distance who kind of sees her and then runs off. This is Olin Forer, if I pronounce it right, apologies if I haven't. She plays Madeline. So this is an old woman who's based in, she kind of leads the Mira character back to this big bunker, has a door, and basically says, you've got 5 seconds to get in the door. She runs, gets in, shuts the door. She's all kind of, oh, what the hell is going on? This seems really weird. Inside of this bunker, you have 4 characters now. You have Madeline, this old lady. You have Mira, who has obviously turned up with the bird, who she names Darwin. You have Sierra, who's played by George Campbell, and then Oliver Finnegan as Daniel. These are basically the 4 main characters that the story will then follow. She basically says they're basically in this room. It doesn't have much going on. It has this big kind of glass window that when the lights come on, you can just see your reflection yourself. You can't see out. And basically Madeline and the others have said that, you know, this is what you have to do when the lights go down. Stand up, face the mirror so they can see you. You don't know what, you hear noises outside. As time goes on, you realise that there are rules. So there is forest. The forest has a kind of mind of its own, and it stops you from leaving. There are rules, things like you must always face the mirror, you must never turn your back from the mirror, you must be in the bunker before sunset, and there are these holes to this underground caverny type place, and you're told to never go down there. As Mira is obviously kind of the rebel of stuff, she ends up going down there with Daniel's help and picking up a bike and something like this. This kind of angers whatever these creaturey things are, and stuff like this, and they kind of bang on a glass, and she's a bit like, oh, you know, it's a bit shocking. Oh no, you know, you have to stick to it, we have to stay here. And in the process of this, with communicating with the other characters, you find out they've actually been, you know, one of them's been there like 6 months or something, Daniel was maybe a little bit longer and stuff like this, and you don't know how long Madeline's been there. Anyway, as time goes on and the forest can warp, it starts to warp Daniel's mind a little bit. He attacks Madeline, and then he takes the character of Sierra into the bunker, and they lock the other 2 out. The other 2 are panicking, it's going dark, you can hear kind of, you know, noises, and they manage to hide under this rotting log because the smell supposedly hides it. This is when you start to see that creatures, they kind of look like they're all on 4s running, and then they kind of outstretch these kind of long human-ish looking beings. But due to circumstances, they managed to get back into the building, and obviously that's when they start to get these creatures outside start attacking it. They realise that there is actually a hatch in the bottom of this bunker, and it goes down into another bit. So they manage to hide themselves down there, and this is where you meet another character. So this is John Lynch, who plays Kilmartin. So you find out he created this bunker, he built it. He was a lecturer at a college that was nearby. And he created this one, and this whole forest is kind of like pixies, fairies. It's weird. They're weird. It's kind of fairy tales, but it's not. They're kind of, these creatures were out there, and what they do is they mimic people. That's why they like looking at them and all this stuff. But obviously, if you stay outside, they kill you and all this stuff. Anyway, this bloke, he created it. He realised as you watch his videos that he made a mistake. They need to get out of the forest. He gives them a way to get out of the forest. Obviously they're in this bunker, so they all sleep, wake up in the morning and do their best to pelt it to the end. Unfortunately, as they're going along, just in the end, Daniel unfortunately gets killed. Some of these changeling type creatures manage to convince themselves. The other 3 girls get in a boat, manage to sail away, and then are picked up by a tour bus type thing. Then they get on and go back to their lives. Kilmartin had on his video that he made a mistake and wanted someone to go and burn all his research material, so that is what Mira's character does. She goes to it. During the process, she finds some photos which give her realisation, and she sees some tapestry and something, and she gets a better understanding of what's going on. It turns out one of the people that have returned aren't necessarily who they say they are, and then there's a final confrontation. I'm going to keep that quiet. You kind of, if you're quite clued up, kind of can see where it's coming, and kind of process of elimination, you know where it is. But there we go. Yeah, and there's confrontation. It doesn't necessarily end the way you think it is, and kind of it ends up being an evolution of Mira's character, because she comes from some realizations, and you find out during the story she's not a necessarily nice person, and something happened in the past, and she kind of forgives this story. There we go. What did I think of it? I thought it was okay. I would very much rate this a 5 out of 10. This is a go in and watch it. It has a few nice points. There's stuff where they're standing next to the mirror and stuff like this, and there's a few little bits like that will really kind of ominous and creepy, but done really well. And I must commend, obviously, Shanna. That is really good for a directorial debut. Obviously, it's gotten into this kind of modern kind of formula where the trailer looks like a horror. It is kind of a horror. I think 2 people get killed. 2 people, they speak about more people getting killed. Hardly anyone gets killed, so I wouldn't necessarily class it as a horror. It's kind of a psychological horror, almost. Obviously, they tried something new, like a book and fairy tales and something like this, and I get it. And I must admit, I didn't find the creaturey things that scary. But obviously they're more tied to kind of fairy tale-ish, and that's why when they kind of make themselves look like people but they're distorted a little bit, I didn't think they were that bad. I mean, to me, honest, if you've seen Attack on Titan, they're kind of human beings that are distorted. I would say the animated ones look a little bit better, just personal preference. But yeah, I mean, overall it was a good first attempt. It's an hour and 42 minutes, I think. Yeah, an hour and 42 minutes. As I say, and you don't have to stay for the trailer. So it's a solid. You could go in, enjoy it for what it is. You know, it's this young director who's trying to find her way. And, you know, I look forward to see where she goes. I mean, obviously, maybe she'll be like a dad and something and be a little bit weird, but who knows? But yeah, it's all right. As I say, 5 out of 10 is an average. It's worth going to cinema. I don't know if I'd pick it up for the collection. Maybe if I found it for £1. But anyway, I've been Cypher Sigma. This has been my review of The Watched. Have you seen this movie? Let me know your thoughts and feelings down in the comments if you feel you wish to join in and we can have a conversation about it. Otherwise, like, comment and subscribe and do all those things you want to do. Hope you're having a nice weekend and I shall see you in the next one.